Wow, we welcome everybody. We want to have another conversation. A candid conversation. Of course, some of our productions are not so palatable to our people who have been so much exposed to one-sided sharing. But God gives us different graces. That is why when we have been given this grace, we don't take it for granted. That is why I welcome you, so that we can walk through this together. We saw it's important that we have some of our broadcasting on our YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel called Commissioned for Christ. If you search Commissioned for Christ, you'll find some of our videos that have been uploaded. You can listen and listen again, so that you can give your comments, you can give your views. I said that this is not a church whereby it is amen to everything. This is a place whereby you can disagree openly and speak your mind. Of course, we are trying to get away from yes, pastor kind of brainwashing. We are transiting to an environment whereby whatever is being shared makes sense into your mind, so that you can nod your head and say, okay, that is true. Whatever he's saying is true. Or you can also try to reason it out and compare with other truths that you know out there. Of course, these are argued from the basis of the Word of God and belief in the Christian faith. That is our bottom line. So that is why we are consistent to appeal to the open-minded group who have not or who are out there to seek and to know much about our belief. So today we wanted to talk about, and I had shared, I think we would argue it out and trying to reason around it. The topic about the shreds of servanthood in a hierarchical Christian setup. A hierarchical Christian setup. A setup that is borrowed much from the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. And we said that much of the practices that we see in church today are borrowed, most of it are borrowed from the practices of the Jew, of the Pharisees, because that is the platform that Christ found himself So I wanted to anchor this discussion on a very a familiar story. Somebody told me a story in the Bible is so familiar until we start delving down into it and trying to see what it contains. You realize that it is not so much familiar. And that is why we sometimes take much time to illuminate. Of course, the Bible is not like any other storybook out there, because it has to be illuminated so that proper understanding can come out. Let me read faster from the book of the Gospel according to John, chapter number 13. I'm reading from verse number 4 in the ESV translation. Rose from supper, he laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Jesus answered him, "What I'm doing you do not understand now, but afterwards you will understand." Peter said to him, "You shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered him, "If I do not wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "The one who has bathed does not need to wash except for his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not every one of you." That is fine. So I just got this piece of scripture. Of course, this is not the direction that I initially intended to take with this. I intended to take a different kind of direction. But of course, this has been talking to me the whole of last weekend and today, yesterday. I was supposed to do this yesterday, but because it has been illuminated to me enough that now I can come so that we can share on this. Of course, I want to take a preachery direction. I want to take a discourse or a dialogue, a direction, so that we can agree. And I said that this is not a church setting whereby you must say yes, Lord, to everything that I say. You're much free to air contrary opinion or view that deviates from what I say. Having said that then, and having read chapter 13 from verse number 4, how Christ, if you read from verse number 1, they're talking about he has known that he's now departing. So this is just like a kind of Christ giving a final touch, a final instructional example to what should be done. It's like now giving the baton. Christ has taught for those years, so he wants to give a baton to this group of people. At first, I wanted to delve on the kind of church that Jesus was pastoring and compare it with the church today. And I would dare say that the church that Jesus Christ was pastoring did not want anything to do with Jesus. Or to offset the equilibrium, I would have such phrases so that I can also challenge and jog your mind. If you read keenly, this church at the time of Jesus, they didn't want anything to do with him. Of course, they were following him and having that big brother syndrome that you see our God can feed 5,000. Did you see him giving food yesterday? Did you see how people ate? You see, our God is big. The person that we are associating with is big. But reality is that these people did not like him because they did not portray the nature of, or they don't represent what Christ actually was after, because they are prohibiting him from going to Zacchaeus' house. These guys are so much baffled when they see him talking to a woman at the well in Samaria, talking to this Samaritan woman. They were wondering, why is he talking to a woman? And these guys would prohibit him from visiting this tax collector's home. They're saying that Zacchaeus has been stealing from the people, and he has been is not like you. So you are not supposed to eat in his house. So these guys, they are prohibiting children from coming to Christ. You see? So most of the things that you see in churches today, the reason why you cannot approach your bishop, when a bishop comes, the reason why you cannot approach him easily as just a congregant, just a mere congregant, the reason why you cannot go so close to your bishop, it was borrowed from this church. Yeah, that was borrowed from this church. And these guys created layers, and they created protocol. A protocol that was so tight that children were prohibited from going to him. Saying, and the disciples trying to prohibit them, to prevent them from accessing him. Say, no, let children come to me. You see? So, these guys, if you look at their predisposition, if you look at their predilection, they are towards achieving their selfish needs. Because you find them saying, now teacher, tell us who is bigger, who is the biggest, who is the greatest amongst us. So there, in that meeting we had Bishop, Apostle, Reverend Peter, who of course Christ had said that upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. A people who received the revelation from heaven itself, that you are the Son of God. You see? So we have big people like John, the beloved of Christ. We had big names around Jesus Christ. So these big names are coming around and telling him, now Rabbi, tell us who is the greatest amongst us. Tell us. Who is the best preacher amongst us? Who explains these things? Who understands these things better? You see? So that was their tendency. And then one mama comes and then brings his two children. And then tells Jesus, now Christ, these are my two children. Now when you go to your throne room, have one on the left and one on the right. So you look at the predisposition of this first church. They don't need anything about Jesus. They don't care about him. They don't care about his mission. These guys are so much selfish. They're so much, they are towards self-aggrandizement. You see? So now, if you compare that with the kind of treatment, I don't know whether there's an archbishop watching, the honor of big vehicles. You see, the kind of hierarchy that your congregants has laid for you, they are borrowing it from the first church of Jesus, whereby you could approach him, and they wanted to make him a kind of a person, a kind of a king that these guys were used to. You see, I do like to take it that direction, because that direction could take me to Luke chapter number 22, verse number 31. You see, the more you walk with power, the more you associate yourself with power. So these guys walked with Christ up to a point that they felt that this is the guy that they really needed. And they also felt that they are the people with him. These guys felt that they can even die for him. You see? And you've also testified in church and say, what God has done to me, I will not leave him. I cannot leave my God. Please leave my God for me. I cannot leave my God. You see? so Peter is saying that is that what we're going to read in chapter 22 of Luke, verse number 31. Peter is saying, or in Matthew chapter 26, verse number 35. He's saying, Lord, I will die with you. In my mother tongue, they say truly. Are people who have seen God live. They have seen Christ manifesting live. And they have declared and they've decreed that they will die for him. So Peter is saying that I will die for you. I will die with you. I will die with you. Christ is looking at him and saying, oh, you will die with me. So Christ does not look at things the way your bishop or your pastor or your apostle looks at things. He does not look at, he looks deeper. That is why the writer of the Hebrew is saying in chapter 4, verse 12, that the word of God is powerful, pierces through the skin, it goes through the flesh, to the tendons and ligaments, it goes deeper to the soul. It goes deeper beyond your imaginations. So it can see you the way you are. You say another thing that I didn't want to say, but let me say that most of us, including me, I would like to associate myself with the people with limitations, with the people with some character deficiencies. I associate with the people who are also limited and who are also having some flaws. Why? Because it will be easier for me to judge them when they are judging me. It will be easier for me to say that, but even you did this. Even you are saying that. You say they are reprimanding me for a sin that I did, which is blatantly deviation from the faith. And they are putting me to account. But because I also know one or two of their flaws, I can easily say, but Fred, you also did this. You can't say, we are all weak. All of us are weak. So I would associate even with the families, your wife, and imagine marrying a perfect spouse. A spouse who is always perfect. All their predispositions are perfect, and their discernment of you is quite precise. I tell you, you'll have very difficult time with that house. I'm not like to. You'll have difficult time. So this is the situation that Peter and the disciples are finding themselves in. That Christ would discern them from the deepest point and beyond their imaginations, because this guy would tell them even the things that they have not even imagined that they can do. So Christ is telling him that I've seen that Satan has decided to toss you to and fro, but I've prayed for you that after the tossing, after the process is over, I like maturity. Because this guy is not condemning them. This guy is reading their weaknesses beyond their understanding. And he's telling them that I've seen that Satan he sent a bait on your necks. And he's after tossing the church like chaff. But Peter is not reading. Peter could not read between the lines. Peter goes on and says, Rabbi, I will die with you. some of these things I should read. I don't. Let me just read this one. This is just one. I didn't want to read so many, but just read this to put it into right context. That is 22 of Luke, chapter number 31. 22:31. This guy is saying, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan demanded to have you, that he might sift you like wheat. But I have prayed for you, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. Aha, I like that. And Peter is responding in verse 33, like most of us. In my language, they sing, let me just sing in my language, I'll translate. Adongi Yesu, adongi ngima, hallelujah, adongi ngima. Adongi Yesu, adongi ngima, hallelujah, adongi ngima. Uwete na duto noringo weyo, hallelujah, noringo weyo. Uwete na duto noringo weyo, hallelujah, adongi ngima. So that song, I would say that song is what Peter sang. Or in verse number 33, because say, Peter said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with you, both in prison and to death. That is how you testify. Bringing your side in church, in the congregation, of course in your suit. Because people also know your faith. You pray in tongues for 2 hours, and you give well. And the pastor knows that you are part of the inner core of that your thing. You see? So you testify, and when you testify, everybody knows that so and so will die with Christ. So Christ is telling him, oh no. No, I tell you. Jesus said to him, I tell you, Peter, the rooster will not crow this day until you deny me 3 times that you know not me. I didn't want to go that direction. That's quite funny. Now, so Jesus Christ is reading beyond what these guys can know. So back to my point, I didn't want to go that direction, but of course I will incorporate it. The reason why I went that direction. So is taking a towel and is taking a basin full of water. So he wants to give a demonstration. And Peter says, when he has gone to these guys, he went to this to Simon, this other Simon, he goes to Andrew, he goes to this other one, he goes to Matthew, he goes to this other one, and then he comes to Peter. And then Peter is telling him, no, don't wash my feet. And there's a day we were sharing this thing with some brethren, and we found a revelation. It was illuminated to us that Peter had embraced the big boy syndrome. I like my seats. Huh? The big boy syndrome. The big boy syndrome works like this in church. We've walked with it. We've encountered it. We've suffered in it. We've toiled to make this thing work the way it is working today. So let this thing work for us. The big boy syndrome. We are the king's kids. So let the king work for us, and we are silent. I don't know. I don't want to bring that, but it is coming. So the king's kid syndrome has gotten into Peter's mind, and the declaration that God made yesterday, and in my previous podcasts I said that if I would have gone, I would go and heal somebody. The next minute I just go to KNH and then call a name, Sarah or James, come from the dead. Come out from the dead. I will not be in my house. My name will be on all the marquees around town. I will give myself names, and the people will worship me. And I said that they will not worship. I will not be elevated to enviable positions because people love God. No. I will be elevated to enviable positions because people fear death. So that when they are about to die tomorrow, I will raise them. That is why the prophets today, the prophetics of today, catches your mind. I didn't want to go that direction. Now, Peter is saying that, Rabbi, please don't wash my feet. You get him? His argument is, Rabbi is above me. And I'm number 2. Or I'm part of the inner core. I'm part of the kitchen cabinet. So Rabbi should not wash my feet because I'm not a foot washer myself. That is his predilection. I don't know whether you think that way, but you're free to disagree. So now, Peter is telling him that you should not wash my feet because you are so big than me. So you should not wash my feet because you are bigger than me. You are higher than me. In other words, my position means that I'm not a foot washer. Foot washing is for nyetheka mesa. That is in my language to mean foot washing is for I don't know, nyetheka mesa in different language. I don't know how to translate that. But I will get the word, don't worry. So Peter is saying, you called me a rock yesterday. Didn't you? Did you call me a rock? And you said in this revelation, you'll build your church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. Yesterday, it is me and you who had overcome the forces of buoyancy and the upthrust nature. We walked on water. It was me and you. We walked on water. So amongst us, I presumably am the biggest. And therefore, you should not wash my feet because you are bigger than me. And therefore, I'm not a foot washer. You see? So now, let me now compare it with what you do. You would always want, let me talk about the congregations that have hierarchies and that have the archbishop on top there, and then several bishops, and then the reverends, and then the pastor, and then the assistant pastor. I don't know where people got all those kind of nonsense. But let me use it as an example. So, what would you do when the archbishop of your Dehebu is the one serving people, in the line? There was a convention, or there was a gathering, because people gather a lot. Bishops gather their flocks a lot each and every year, yearly convention. So you are in a yearly convention, and the archbishop has come. So today he decided he's not going to serve sacrament. He's not going to serve that small, how do we call that thing? This thing that you serve us in Holy Communion. He's not going to serve that thing. He's saying, I'm going to serve people. I'm going to wash the utensils. In fact, it will be a very big breach that the bishop of that area will reprimand the reverend of the area, who will reprimand the senior pastor of the area, who will reprimand the junior pastor of the area, or who will reprimand the woman leader of the assembly of the area. How could they allow the bishop or the archbishop is too high. Let me use the bishop to do what? What should I use? To go closer to the kitchen? Who was sleeping on the job. Why did the bishop? You see? Now, your predilection is not that you respect the bishop. It is not a matter of that you respect the bishop. Your predilection is coming from the predisposition of Peter. That yourself, you're not a dishwasher. I don't know whether you get it. But of course, some of these things are for reason. Just throwing it up, you can grapple with it. So now, Peter is telling this guy, Jesus Christ, that please do not wash my feet. See? I'm not a foot washer. I'm a rock. So, when we are talking about shreds of servanthood, unlike, because we are comparing this, whatever is trending, to the sample that was given to us by Christ Jesus. So you find that the more you rise the ladder, the more you rise up the ladder of how hierarchical you are, whatever is organized, the lesser you become of a servant. I don't know whether you've asked yourself that. I'm very much sorry that it is like kind of meant for servants of God, but not for servants of God. It is meant for a people who had been called. People who had been called. Now, the more you rise, the more you find that you are detached from service. The more you climb, the more you attract, if you are really called to serve. So the more you delve into service, the more you attract more people. So the more you attract more people, the more these people elevate you to daddy position. So the more the daddy position gets into your mind, the more you are detached from service. Hidden. Look at this scenario. Of course, I don't know how you understand it. But Christ was not washing, let's take the literal aspect of it. He was not washing the manicured and the pedicured feet. Christ was not washing feet in butter shoes. He was washing a feet that have walked long distances in the deserts in sandals. They're split and they're dirty. Let's take the literal aspect of it. So it's getting the shampoo, it's getting the ile kitu ya kusugua, it's getting the soap, it's mixing it with water, and it's going from one person to the other. This is quite, it's breaking. It can't happen in your church, and I know. Because our people say that you are looking for a curse from the man of God. The man of God did this to you. You're looking for a curse? You're looking for a curse from the man of God. You mean the bishop? Bishop served us. Bishop, don't curse us. Don't curse us. Wow. Sorry for that. That was a bad network hitch. That is bad network hitch. But anyway, I hope it is clear from that side. Let me see. Hope that network is fine now. Okay. Now, just continue. I think it will pick up. It will pick up. So now, you find that what we are saying is that you find that the more you climb, or the more you go closer, or the more you attract more people, the more you are detached from service. You are detached from service. Yes. Aha. Network connected. That's okay. That's fine. Now, you find that in most cases, you will not be doing the things that looked like you are calling when you started off. You are detached from the call. You are detached from what Christ placed in your hand. You are out there serving the big brother syndrome. I don't know whether you get that. But let me explain something here. When Christ is talking about who is going to betray him, when Christ is talking about the person who is going to betray him, do you know what happened in this church? There was no single disciple who would say, I can't betray him. All of them went asking Christ, is it I who is going to betray you? Teacher, is it me who is going to betray you? All of us, maybe excluding one or two, but all of us have had their Judas moments. I don't know how you grapple with that. But all of us have had our Judas moment. I don't know whether you agree. The time when the deal could only go through when you compromise. The deal could only work out when you compromise. All of us, if 99% of us, of course there's always that one exception, but 99% of us, we've always had our Judas moment. That is why the disciples are saying, teacher, is it I? Teacher, is it I? Because they were able to discern their spirits and know, they were able to check within their spirits and know that they were below par. So all of us have had our Judas moments. The moment that even if you spoke like Peter, the day you were born again, the day you saw God doing something big in your life, the day God did something big, and you say, I will stick with him, I will stick with him. That is the song that I sang in that my video that was interrupted. I will stick with him, I will stick with him. I will die with him, I will die with him. Even if you sang like that. But when Jesus Christ was talking about a person who is going to betray him, all of them in that room were like, teacher, is it I? Teacher, is it I? So now, it brings you to a point that you are similarly vulnerable. You are similarly out of touch. You are similarly a betrayer. Regardless of your position, regardless of whether you are the person with the collar, the collared man, regardless of you've had this long kofia and that long rod, regardless people testify to you their sins and you pardon them on behalf of God, regardless of whether you healed, you prayed for somebody to be healed, all of us always have our Judas moments. A moment that you betray Christ. A moment that you feel the deal is too good to say, I will die with him. So it's a flip to make the deal go through. It's a slip so that the deal can go through. You see, a Judas moment, a Peter's moment. Let me give you my personal testimony. Just a bit. I want to bore you with my personal testimonies. I'm still too young to talk about my life stories. But I found myself in some situations that the environment tells me he was with him. The surrounding tells me that he was with him. He speaks like him. No. His voice, that voice. He walks like him. He dresses like this guy has encountered this man from Galilee. I'm in the midst of that quagmire. So the voice is saying that this dude was with him. This guy was with him. I say no, I don't know him. Say no. Speak again. I say again, I don't know him. See, even his voice sounds like it has been with him. Including his voice. He has been with him. But the situation, the circumstance, is my Judas's moment. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to preach. I didn't want to go the preaching direction. I just wanted to be in this direction of the discourse direction. Because that is where we can reason. I don't want you to start crying. I just want you to maintain your clarity of mind. Now, so Jesus is talking to these guys and he's telling Peter that I've seen that Satan has placed a bet. He has placed a bet for you. But I've prayed for you. I like the loving Father. Now, this guy is not stopping Peter from the declaration. It's not demoting him. He has seen what will happen. That these guys will be tossed. Ha! But the tossing is so painful. But he's saying, I've prayed for you. So it's not removing them from the list of the people going to heaven. Like you've done in your congregation. I don't know how many people you've stopped from stepping on your pulpit. So and so. Come to the office. It is confirmed that you did this and this, and therefore you should stop going to the pulpit, or you should stop coming to church. I saw a place whereby somebody was told you should stop coming to church so that you go look for your heart. I don't know. I don't want to sound funny, but Christ is telling Peter that I've seen that there's a bet that has been placed for your life. There's a bet that has been placed for your life. Hey, the moment of reckoning, a moment I don't know him, will come. But I've prayed for you so that after you've gone through it, you will strengthen your brothers. After you've gone through it, then you can come and strengthen your brothers. Let me tell you, I don't want to listen to somebody who has not been through it. You are adding no value. You don't have experience. I would love to listen to a people who have been through it, who have been in the tossing. I don't know him. You're talking about who? Jesus? I don't know him. No, but you speak like man now. I don't know that guy. I don't know. You speak like him. I saw you with him. Remember that? I know. I know that character. The Judas moment. I don't know whether, if you've not experienced it, if you were truly called, you'll have to experience it one of these days. I'm not praying that you experience it, but I'm praying that after you've experienced and overcome, please come and strengthen your brothers. So now, servanthood. The servanthood, it could be perfected at this point. What would prompt a bishop to take a towel and nurse the congregants? What would prompt an archbishop to take a towel and a basin full of water, instead of jumping to his TX that the church contributed money to be bought for him? He will be taking the ushering role. I don't know. The only thing that would propel a bishop or an archbishop to relinquish his topmost seat, the biggest seat in that auditorium, to come and sit like part of the congregation, is a Judas experience. Because the Judas experience, there's a way it humbles you. There's a way it humbles you. There's a way it redefines you. I'm sorry, but this is for mature people who want to be mature. This is not for kids who are brainwashed in this semi-literate vibandas in this kind of cities. This is for a people who want the Holy Writ to make sense into their minds, so that they can walk with maturity of the Word of God. Maturity of the Word of God. That is when you will not be sitting in the Sanhedrin meetings that chases people out of church. Because the Peter's moment, the Peter's experience of I don't know him, humbles you. Humbles you. It redefines you. It redefines your predisposition. It makes you understand the grace beyond grace. You preach about grace, you talk about him, but you should experience the grace, because I've seen genius kids preaching. You see, there are so many genius kids. You see, I'm 11 years old and I want to minister, or I'm 10 years, and people are this semi-literate in the gospel. People always say, "Hey, we want to just listen to the kid." Let me be honest with you. The kids don't bless me. Preaching of the kids, they don't bless me as such. That is me. I don't know about you, but that is me. Because I always want to listen to a people who have experienced it. A people who have experienced it. So, Peter is talking to Christ with an archbishop from an archbishop's seat. But Christ is saying, no. My church would not be led from the archbishop's seat. My church must be led from the Nyati Kanisa seat, or from the congregational seat. A seat of no portfolio, a seat of no name, a seat of no branding. Of now, I'm an assistant pastor. I'm vice pastor. I'm deputy pastor. What nonsense is that? No, I'm assistant archdeacon. I'm the archdeacon. Archdeacon. I saw something in my church. They were saying, "You are deacon? You are No, I'm archdeacon." I say this lady, but she died, man. I thank God for her. You see, she could really distinguish between deacon and archdeacon. And she categorically told me, "I am the archdeacon." I don't know what that lady was told when she was given that position. I answer to the bishop. These days, you see, when you're telling me your answer to me, you see, you are a reverend father. So you answer to the bishop. I call it nonsense. Because Christ did not want the church to be nurtured from that seat. Because that seat, you don't have time, or you don't have the willpower to take a towel and take a basin of water and to walk, to split feet, to feet that has walked in mud, in the gravel, on stones, a feet that has walked for days without seeing water. And we said that these were not manicured feet. You don't have time for that. And I was with some people saying, "No, you see, senior pastor cannot come and visit you. It is your cell group pastor who should come and visit you." I asked, why can't he come and visit me? Why can't the senior pastor? why can't the senior pastor come and visit me? It was like, no, everything starts from your cell group pastor so that it can go. It can go and go. But by the time it reaches the senior pastor, it's a serious issue. I don't want to go to the preaching side. That is why I'm bringing these other stories to make it a bit palatable. Because I do want to change my attitude. So I'm asking this person. So the senior pastor cannot come to my house? Yeah, of course he can come, but not like that. Something must happen so that he can come. So, and you see the deviation. The very thing that Christ was trying to avoid is what has happened to the church. The very thing that Christ was trying to avoid is the main thing that has happened to the church. Because Christ is trying to tell Peter that no, you are not going to serve from that seat. The seat where Peter was saying, I will going to die with you the next minute. I'm going to die with you today. I'm going to die with you. And that is the attitude that Christ, that Peter removed his sword from his bosom and chopped off the ear of this guy. Christ told him, no, we are not going to fight like that. This is not taken like that. We are not going to wrestle like that going forward. Henceforth, we are not going to wrestle like that. So now, sometimes your proper service is one step from embarrassment. Somebody did not hear that, or did not understand that. Your proper service could be just one step off embarrassment. For me to come and congregate with you from your falling position, it would require me to have fallen. I don't know whether you get that. Our church today is approaching it from a holy Joe point. Our bishop is approaching it from a holy father point. But Christ wanted it to be from a rescued deserter point, from a rescued person point of view. Because when you are from a rescued person point of view, you will feel that I don't deserve to be here. And therefore, I would give preference to another person. I don't deserve to preach. Therefore, I would give to another person who is better than me. You see, the reason why Paul in his writing, he could not talk about himself at an enviable position. His nature of abnormal birth, was so always clear in his mind. His nature of abnormal birth, someone who is abnormally born, to mean that somebody who don't deserve to be there. If you approach it from the point of somebody who don't deserve to be there, then you are almost clicking it. You are almost getting it. Because you are approaching it from a point of somebody who is nothing, that need to be clothed with something foreign from the third heavens. You are nothing to a point that you must be clothed by some righteousness that you can't get from good doings, so that you can be counted. You approach it from a point that the garment, the white linen, must be bought from the third heavens, so that you can be clothed with. If you did not watch my video about predestination, please go watch it. Because we discussed about the righteousness that we are clothed with, that we don't deserve, that you cannot pray yourself to righteousness. You cannot preach yourself to righteousness. You cannot bishop yourself to righteousness. You cannot Reverend Father yourself to righteousness. It must be given to you. So when you approach it from there, then you'll understand that you don't belong, you don't deserve. The king's kid deception, I think we'll preach about king's kid the next time. But let me call it deception because it makes you feel that it makes you feel like somebody. It makes you feel like somebody. So now, what will tie you to servanthood? What will tie you to service? The element that will tie you to service, the element that will make you and I also love how Paul is teaching some of these things. The nothingness of a servant. The reason why we only have shreds of service, servanthood, in the hierarchical nature, the reason why we would only love the hierarchical nature is because of our selfish predilections and tendencies. So Christ is making Peter to become a full-fledged servant. He is not making him through prophetics. And somebody will say that I don't hate prophetics. I like prophetics a lot. But I hate deception. But people like prophetics. That I see you becoming big. I see you in the next 2 years in this ministry. You will become Reverend Father. I see you now because, you see, a brainwashed prophetics come into your church and then say he's prophesying. I want to prophesy to somebody. Is there somebody called Joseph in a big congregation? Surely you will not miss a Joseph. You might not miss a Joseph, or you might not miss a Brian, or a Paul somewhere. You can miss Aguambo because Aguambo is quite straight, but you cannot miss Francis. One person can be called Francis in the congregation. You see? So, you come, the prophet is saying, I see you in the next 2 years. And they do this mostly to women, because women are very gullible. I say that with a fear of contradiction. Women are so that I receive, daddy. I receive that, daddy. You are going to be big. You are going to be. You are going to ministry. You are singing ministry. I don't want to laugh, but I want to be very serious. Your singing ministry is going to be big. You are going to conquer nations. You are going to go to the whole of Africa. You see? I'm not saying that is bad. I don't know how it works for those people. It does work for me. But Christ did not establish Peter in that kind of foundational building. He's telling him that I've seen the devil betting for you. I've seen him placing a big bet before God. Because when Peter comes to the realization, then Peter in 1 Peter 5:8 is saying that our enemy, our adversary, the devil, is roaming like a lion looking for whom he can devour. So Christ had seen him going to the Father to make a big bet, the way he did to Job. So he's going to make a big bet for Peter. Because Peter is supposed to take up the mantle from Christ. So, and Peter with his brothers, the devil has placed a big bet, a multi-bet. I don't know who bets, an Odi bet, or whichever bet. So the devil has placed a big bet. Bigger callings make the devil make bigger bets before God. Hey. So the devil has made a big bet before God, and Christ has seen him. And I love his intercession. He says, and I've interceded for you, that after the storm, hey, after they have stopped speaking about your name, after the storm has calmed down, after they've removed you from church and they've brought you again, after you've attended the first and 100th meeting, the second and 100th meeting, the third and 100th meeting, and you've declared good, after your wife have run away and has come back, hey, after you've lost it and now you're regaining your strength, please strengthen your brothers. To mean that the brothers are also faced with the same predicaments. So now it will happen to you. And then after it has happened to you, then you will turn. The barrel of the gun will be pointing at you. It will blow you up. Then after the master molder has molded you together, after you've been molded together, you've been given a new mind, a new mentality, a new approach. When the judgmental nature from your brain has been rewired, when a new chip has been entered into you, then you can strengthen your brothers. Then now you are strong. So now it is shaped disturbing you. It is keeping you on toes. It is keeping you on check. So that you can maintain the tempo of service. Otherwise, you will lose the tempo. Because in church we will praise you the way you preached well. We will praise you the way you sing well. We will praise you. And when the praises get into your medulla, when the praises get into your cheek will start bulging. And then you are bulging cheek praise and worship leader. So you bombozle everybody around. You know how to sing. You have to wait for 6 months. You have to, so you do ABCD. You did not. So you did not like this. See? So to keep you on check, so that the bishop, the office of the bishop, does not get inside your mind. So that you don't keep looking for names, because even in the Pentecostal, they are looking for names, and they have felt that the archbishop is less, so they're looking to be called Pope, Pope so and so, because you feel that archbishop is not enough. So whatever would bring you on check, let me call it Judas moment. Peter's betrayal moment. The betrayal moment. I'm not saying that it should happen to you. But for us who are very lucky that it has happened to us, we can now come and strengthen you online. I can now come and strengthen you. I can now know where to put a bandage and where to nurse with surgical spirit. I know how to wash the wound. You get? Now I know how to bandage a wound. That is when you as the bishop will leave the fortified headquarters with 99 and go look for a downtrodden member who just came the other day in Gomongo. And visit him without going with a contingent of Peters and the big boys who would go before you and try to make the person clean the house and clean the sewage line so that prophet, doctor, or reverend, you can pass. The only thing that would make you leave the 99 to come with a towel and a soap and a basin full of water to wash my wounded spirit. Do you know why Jesus Christ said that laborers are few? Have you ever wondered why he's saying that laborers are few? The harvest is plenty and laborers are few. You are wondering because you see so many servants and you also call yourself a servant of God. Why? When Christ is not seeing me, he's still saying that laborers are few. And I'm a man of God just waiting for the field. I'm jogging, waiting for the field. My Bible check, my notebook check, my suit, my black suit check, or I have a friend who makes this good suit, the designers. I don't know the designer. See, my designer suit check. I'm just waiting to go to the vineyard. And Christ is saying that laborers are few. Christ, are you? Was it about that time and not this time? Because right now we are here. We are so many. We are competing for these things. Preachers are so many. You want to get to the pulpit. So Christ is not seeing us. You usually have a black Bible. This looks like for students. Let me use this one that looks like for preachers. I have my black Bible and I have my towel. I've not wiped my face. I need to wipe my face. And I'm having this. Ready to go and preach. I'm prepared. You see, prepared to preach day and night. And Christ is saying, do you know why Christ is now saying that you are not there? The laborers are few. The people who have been ushered into it are very few. The people who have a towel around their waist and are having a water full of basin are very few. Are people who will leave 99 and they go and seek for Wodagwambo who is lost in harlotry are so few. Because the hierarchy has clogged the mind of the bishop that he cannot present the psychology. He cannot read the psychology of the church. Because he prepares in Hilton Hotel to go and get into the church at the preaching time, then leaves before the end, because his drivers and his bodyguards and his everybody is surrounding him, taking back to Hilton Hotel. So he does not know that one sheep is wounded, and the wound needs you to take your towel and take your the basin full of water and go to where these people are. And what? I think I'll preach about these things until the devil gets mad. I don't care. This is not a church. You're going to reprimand me. I'm not saying that you're going to invite me in your pulpit. I'm going to come to this our pulpit next time again. So Christ is making Peter, as I conclude, because I'm having some few minutes to conclude now, is making him through the barrel turning unto his spirit. Because you can imagine Peter going into it with the rock mentality. I am the rock. I am the rock that, I don't know how to say, but let me try to. I am the rock that the church is established upon. I don't know how to say, but I can say. Imagine him going into that with that mentality. I've seen servants of God, after going through it, they come out and they blaze fire. They bless me a lot because their testimony tells me that they have been there. Their testimony confesses that Christ still gives grace. I want to end it there. I'm very much sorry that I lost some people because our internet was broken. But you need to know that servanthood, for you to be an effective servant, you must have experienced it. You must have gone through it. That is when you will not speak like Peter, a haughty character, saying, I will die with you. But Christ is seeing his spirit and saying, you are not going to die with me. The next minute, the rooster is not going to crow 3 times before you say, I don't know him. the rooster is not going to crow 3 times before you feel that you can repent later. You just do it, you will repent later. The crow is not going to, the rooster is not going to crow 3 times before you betray him. Come off the pulpit, come off that big seat, bishop, assistant bishop. Delete that name. Delete those titles. That I'm assistant pastor, so I'm the senior pastor, I'm the overseeing. Who are you overseeing? Who are you overseeing? Delete those titles and come down to the ground. If you can come down to the ground, then you will be able to take people with you. Micaiah is saying that I've seen the house of Israel scattered in the wilderness like sheep without a shepherd. And Christ is affirming in 9:35 of Matthew that I've seen the flock scattered like a sheep without a shepherd. And Christ has sent me to prepare you to come out the big seat. Take a basin of water. Take a towel in your hand. Nurse the wounds. Nurse the oozing wounds. Come on, pastor. Come on, bishop or Mr. Preacher, the reverend. Come off that seat. Take up a towel. Stop those funny confessions that we've suffered in this thing. You've not suffered more than Christ. You will betray him the next minute. You see a beautiful woman come to the congregation. You will betray him. Stop chest stamping because you will betray him when you see money. When money comes in plenty, you will betray him. You will betray him. You'll betray him when brothers come and the people surround you. You'll betray him when those big prayers are answered. You are highly likely to betray him. So come off that seat. Sit with the congregation. Take up a towel. Tie it around your waist. And take up a water full of basin. Tell them, bring your feet. Nurse their wounds. And the Father of all grace shall give you grace as you do all that. Because Peter is saying that our adversary, the enemy, is roaring like a lion, looking for whom he devour. The only way he could not see you is when you are humbled down. Humbling down is not humility of putting up your hands like this before your bishop. That is not humbling down. Humbling down is about deeds, how you do it. That is humbling down. And when you are humbled down, humbling down is enough cover. Because when you are humbled down, he will not see you. He will look for you around. And he will not see you. Because humility covers you. Humility is like a shelter. Because the Bible says that he rejects the proud and gives grace to the humble. Now, grace is a cover. He gives favor to the humble. Now, it is a cover. When he is roaring around like a lion, looking for whom he would devour, then you are covered. But when he finds you in the big bishop's seat, the archbishop's seat, he'll devour you. Thank you so much for watching. Pray for yourself. The Father of all grace will give you grace to pray for yourself. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is commissioned for Christ. You can like it, give a comment. Because some of the things that we've posted there so far are touching on the antagonistic issues that are in the church. You can also give your mind. Some of them can go contrary to your belief. Well and good. We are in a free world that people can speak Yeah, but also listening to that would give you a cliche of what other people think and what the reasoning in other people's mind. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you guys. God bless you. You can see my friends and brothers here watching. God bless you so much. In case of any question, you can ask, but I'm stopping this in the next few seconds, because the grace of the Lord has given us power to speak about some of these things with the power and with authority. God bless you so much. God bless you. God bless you. Let me finish this. Bye bye. God bless you.